The Pittsburgh Steelers punter battle seems to be over, and a very clear winner has won the starting job once again. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This offseason, they brought in another punter to compete with Pressley Harvin III for a starting job. His name was Braden Man. He previously played for the New York Jets, and many people thought he had a really good chance to actually make the team and end up being the starter with training camp and preseason and just showing out that he could be consistent on punts. But it's been reported that Pressley Harvin III, and just by watching him play throughout the training camp and throughout the preseason, that he will once again be the starter for this upcoming season. This was actually reported by Steelers insider by the name of Gary Dulac. I'm going to read you what he said about Pressley Harvin and Braden Man, the battle between the two. If there was a punting competition in camp, it might have been decided today with the performance by Pressley Harvin. He bombed 6 consecutive punts, turning each one over with the nose pointing down on descent. That's what coaches look for. So, Gary Dulac, that's what he said a little while ago now, but I wanted to wait and report on this until after both the training camp and preseason was over. And so we got a full look at both Braden Man and Pressley Harvin throughout both training camp and preseason. And there's a clear winner in my eyes, because when you watch Pressley Harvin punt throughout the preseason, he consistently made punts that were great. He bombed some punts, but then also he was able to pin the opposite team inside the 10-yard line. And that's what you look for. You look for when it's a short yardage punt and you can't just lay it all out there and punt as far as you can. Can you pin the opposite team inside the 10-yard line? And throughout the preseason, consistently, he was able to do so and have the opposing team start in a bad field position. He did not kick it through the end zone. It did not roll into the end zone. He was actually able to pin the opposite team within the 10-yard line. But then also, when he had to kick it as far as he could, he has a big leg, and that's what he could do as a player. Kick it really far and bomb punts. But Braden Man, when you look at him play, coming over from the New York Jets, the reason why many thought that maybe he could win that starting job, he did not have as big of a leg as Pressley Harvin III, but he was very consistent, hitting punts and not shanking any. So that's what coaches look for. Your consistency and not putting your team in a bad position because you shank a punt. If you're consistent and you're able to kick it far, or at least a decent far amount, that's what coaches look for, and not putting your team in a bad position. So many people thought, including me, I really thought that Braden Man had a good chance to win the starting job. But Pressley Harvin just took it over. The Steelers obviously drafted him a few years ago, so they have more of a connection tie with him because they actually drafted him, wasted a draft pick on him, which could be good, could be bad, and it's still waiting to be determined whether that was a good pick or not. But the Steelers have more of a connection to him, and it looks like Pressley Harvin III did more of a job to win the starting job than Braden Man. Looking at training camp, there was many reports at times where Braden Man and Pressley Harvin were going back and forth with punts, and you would hear Pressley Harvin kicked a 53-yard punt, and then Braden Man 43, Pressley Harvin 54, Braden Man 24. So you would see so many times on the reports that Braden Man would shank a punt, but Pressley Harvin was consistent, which was something that Pressley Harvin needed to work on, because last season, if you remember, and just throughout his whole career in general with the Steelers, the one thing that's been his downfall was him not being consistent. We all know he could kick it really far at times, and he could go for like a 60-yard punt, but the one thing that he was dealing with that he couldn't do was be consistent. He couldn't just consistently have good punts, good punts, good punts. There would be a good punt, but then there would be a bad punt. Or maybe there would be 2 bad punts in a row. He was never consistent, and hopefully now this season, he's able to put that behind him. He's going into year 3 with the team, maybe getting more used to the NFL, the pass rush, trying to block a punt, because you have to remember, in college, coming out from college, there's really no people trying to block your punt. You kind of have open space and more time to punt the ball. So maybe now getting used to the NFL pressure on the punt blocking, maybe he could get used to that and be more consistent and bomb punts, but not shank as many either. Be consistent. That's all we're looking for. If he can hit a consistent 45-yard punt every single time, it doesn't matter if he's able to hit one long or he's able to hit one short. Just have a consistent one where you know you're not putting your team in a bad position where the opposite team's going to take over on our side of the ball and having an easy touchdown or an easy field goal. Because there's many times where Pressley Harvin III would be pinned back up in our end zone or on our side of the field, have to go punt the ball. He would shank one for like a 25-yard punt, and the opposite team would already be in scoring position, whether that was for a field goal or an easy touchdown. And that just puts the team in a very bad position because you're giving up points. And last season and in past seasons, the Steelers offense was not good enough to retaliate when an opposite team was scoring points. So if you're giving up a free 7 or a free 3 points based off a punt, and our offense was only scoring 17 or lower points per game, that was a really bad thing by the punter. But now, hopefully this season, with the battle between Braden Man and him winning it, hopefully Pressley Harvin III is able to put those woes behind him, and he's able to step up, be consistent, and be what the Steelers thought he would be when they drafted him. But with Pressley Harvin struggling last season, you have to look at it from his point of view. Because if you remember, something happened in his personal life. He was dealing with a mental and kind of a family issue where someone very, very close to him passed away. Someone in his close family. So he probably wasn't worrying too much about football. He was worrying more about his personal life and dealing with a personal matter that means more than football. Someone passing away means more than football because you're losing someone you're very close to. And that's more than football. So he probably wasn't paying more attention to football and kind of worrying about his personal life, leading to struggles on the field. He was probably reminiscing. He was probably grieving over the person who he lost in his personal life. So he kind of struggled. So you have to look at it from his point of view. He was dealing with a personal matter. I know when we talk about football, it's strictly about football, but sometimes you have to look at what's going on in the person's personal life. And he was dealing with something last year that was really grieving and something that no one should have to deal with. So with that being said, maybe that's what led to the struggles. Maybe that is now a year in the past. So maybe now he's able to bounce back from that and be better now this season. But that's what's dealing with last season. With that being said, let me know down in the comments below. How do you feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Pressley Harvin basically winning the starting job per Gary Dulac and just watching him punt throughout the training camp, punting throughout the preseason? Do you think he'll get back to normal? Do you think he'll be able to hit long punts, but not even hit long punts, just be consistent on his punts and not shank many? Let me know your thoughts on Pressley Harvin III. Did you believe that Braden Man even had a chance to win the starting job like I did? Or do you believe that Pressley Harvin III was going to win it either way? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But looking at Braden Man, there is an opening on the practice squad, and the Pittsburgh Steelers usually keep a special teams player on the practice squad, so he could make that team and make the practice squad as well if no other team decides to sign him after the Pittsburgh Steelers officially cut him on Tuesday. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for his channel so you get notified whenever I post the next Steelers video on the channel. And as we're coming up on the regular season, if you want to keep up to date with all news, rumors, reports, trades, signings, cuttings from the team, this is the spot for it. I keep you up to date with everything Pittsburgh Steelers, so like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications for the channel, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.